Free of problems, scams, and thievery. A place where comfort is your only concern. Imagine Comfort Time Live.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Friday edition of Comfort Time Live. Tom Platania, your host, and it is absolutely beautiful, 85-degree day in sunny South Florida. And boy, I tell you, I don't think it could get any nicer. The humidity's low, temperature's beautiful. There's a great breeze going on out there. And I'm feeling really good today. I don't know why, but I'm feeling really, really good. Day's going good. Daughter had a nice volleyball game last night, and they absolutely crushed. The JV absolutely crushed St. Edwards. She's at Centennial, so they did good. I don't know what happened to the varsity team, though. I don't know if they won or not. I didn't get a chance to stay and watch that, but I'm proud of her. She's doing good. Straight A's in school, so she's doing a great job. I'm really, really proud of her. But what we're going to be talking about on the show today is we're following up with some of the details on what our sponsors talked about last week. Some of the common issues and problems that they were having with people calling, their most frequent issues from their clients, their customers, and what the problems were. So we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about some of those on the air conditioning and the plumbing side, and what we can do to, I guess you could say, eradicate them to save you money. Because when you do when you don't do little things, obviously we know they turn into big issues. And 80 to 90% of us will say, well, I've never had that happen. So, of course, to you, there's no value in taking care of the problem ahead of time. But when you're that 10, 20, 30% of the people who it does happen to, you do the old Homer Simpson, yo! Say, I should have taken care of that ahead of time. So, but as you know, in a tough economy like this, most of us are going to try to play the gambit. We're going to try to play the Las Vegas odds and hold off and hope that it doesn't happen.
But it's your most expensive or most valuable investment, your home.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. But sometimes because we don't see a problem consistently happening or in our face all the time, we kind of like the filters in your air conditioning system. Now you are different from most people.
But I obsess over little things like that.
you are on top of it, and I wish most of our homeowners out there were like that. But
I like my house. I like my air conditioner. I like it working. I like when my air conditioner is happy. So,
happy air. You put a little smiley face on it when it's running good.
Happy.
But we don't realize that something as small as a filter can cause such a big problem.
I have to say, when the economy is a little bit tough, I think people take a little better care of their houses because they're not busy doing other things. They're sticking around close to home, and they can see these things, like, oh, well, that faucet's been dripping. Well, now I really have to take care of it because I'm spending more time in the house watching it drip. So I'm
think that?
I really do. I think that and I think that people spend time fixing up outside as well, because the recreation is taking care of their house instead of being on the run.
Yeah, I guess that could go both ways. I guess you could think of it that it'd be in people's face more because they're going out less. But then the other thing is it's in their face more.
Well,
but I
don't
have the money
nothing
right now to do it.
Yeah,
because of the economy.
Yeah.
So I guess you're right. It could go both ways. They actually, I heard some statistics about odd things in the economy that you never would think about that have been reduced. One was shark attacks.
Really?
And they say
there were just two, like yesterday.
Yeah. Well, the economy's coming back up.
Melbourne Beach.
The economy's coming back up, but they say that less shark attacks because people have less money to take vacations, to recreate, to go out to the beaches. So less.
Well, even gas. I mean, if you're going to drive across town, from somewhere out west, and
pregnancies,
go
births.
up.
No, they went down.
Really? We can't afford it?
They have actually
I'm sorry, we can't afford it.
They actually went down.
Really?
The pregnancies, actually, right now, the statistic was, and I forget where the source was from. I heard it on a news source. is they've actually at their lowest that they've been in almost 100 years.
Wow.
Why? Because people are being, I can't afford. We can't afford to have another baby. Now, once again,
See, I never saw children as something that was planned. It's just something that happens
if you
to
sit
you.
back and you calculate, boy, that was a $50,000 mistake that night. Yeah, if you're paying child support for the rest of your life. But once again, you could also look at it from the other side of the fence. It's like, wait a minute. We're home more often because we can't afford to go out.
Exactly.
We can't afford to buy board games to keep ourselves occupied. Well, what else is there to do?
But usually you have those, though. Yeah. Let's play board games instead. It's cheaper.
I got 5 kids. Well, I think they figured out in
Get out
science
the Monopoly.
what causes that now. But it's,
Recreation.
yeah,
It's a different form of recreation.
exactly. There you go. So a lot of odd things like that. So, it could go both sides of the fence. It could be, well, I can't afford, and we look at that in the air conditioning industry.
What kind of little things with the air conditioner would like the filter, what kind of little things could lead to something much bigger?
Not having outside, there's a lot of little pieces of electronics where there has to be 2 metal devices. It's called a contactor. 2 metal devices have to pull together. It's the contactor based on electricity. Well, in Florida, we get a lot of ants, lizards, snakes, frogs, and if we get them in there because they like the warmth, and because there's electricity going through that little component, it gets warm. So they climb in there and they snuggle up to it. And well, if the air conditioner turns on at the right time, it could actually get them or their tails or whatnot trapped. And because it's electricity, it's 220 volts.
Oh, so
240
they're
volts.
toast fast.
So their tails toast or they're toast and just fried. Well, what happens is it causes that part to eventually continue to have problems and burn out. Well, if it's not maintained, okay, and cleaned properly, eventually it could really cause a lot more problems. It's just a minor issue.
So timing is everything.
Exactly. And
For
you
the little
may
lizard.
not have a problem, but now of course if you have good pest control in your house, it's going to help a little bit, but that's not going to stop the constant snakes to slither. And you'll see that at the top of the air conditioners. The snakes, and when it's real hot out, they'll crawl up the top of the air conditioner because when the fan's on, you got that air blowing across and you
cooling.
want to cool them off. But you'll forever see snakes that have fallen down into the fan and get chopped up, or frogs or lizards and stuff like that
Yeah,
constantly.
it's one jump
Oh yeah,
too many.
exactly. So little things like that. The
And I'd
drain-
also like to say, ew.
yeah, it's nice to
Ew.
look at. It really is. Especially hungry. Right after lunch.
You go, yeah, but I mean, do you like service air conditioners and
Frog
find,
legs.
bones in there?
I mean, you wouldn't have to go
Little
through all the
bones?
legs of frog legs. You just pick them out. And they're already cooked for you.
Out in the sun.
Just get a little dipping sauce from Burger King or something. It's nasty.
Appetizer.
But the drain lines. That's another
Okay.
small, minor
But
thing.
now newer models have the valve that
well, that's
will
just
turn it, so you'll know if that's plugged.
if it's working correct.
If you have one of those.
Right, if you have one of those. And what she's talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is code. Now, this is only for those.
Now, though, right?
Right? And it's been around for quite a while.
Okay.
It's been around for quite a while, but one of the other reasons that you want to make sure you hire a licensed contractor, because the licensed contractor, a majority of the time, is going to pull a permit, which you need to make sure is being done. And the purpose of that is because you can't always trust the person who's telling you that they're doing something, but by having a third-party inspector come out and verify that it was done
To code.
and that those safety protection devices are in there, because once again, that's a very inexpensive device, less than $200 to install, but it could cause tens of thousands of dollars in damage to the ceiling of your house if it's not and the air conditioner overflows. So it's a float switch. It's just a little teeny device that goes in the drain that if the drain ever backs up, it pushes this little float up, shuts the air conditioner off and stops it. Now there's typically 2 of them in a new air conditioning. One goes in the main drain that goes outside. That is typically located by the condensing unit outside. Okay. The second one, which would be part of the metal pan that's underneath, which we call an emergency drain pan, that one, there's a float switch in there too, a safety switch in that as well. but there should be another drain, and where that runs is someplace very conspicuous. Someplace that if it's overflowing and draining out, that when you walk out of your house in a very frequent manner, it's going to drip on you. So like over top of your front door or out on your back patio where you constantly go. This way, if the main float doesn't work and it backs up and goes into this pan and that water starts dripping out of there, you're going to know that there's a problem, and you can call somebody right away. But those float switches are mandatory.
Now, if it kicks off the air conditioner and you notice it's a little warm in your house and the thermostat's set, what are the signs if you don't have this dripping, if you don't see this dripping?
You really going to have no idea that
The air's not running.
Nothing's going to be running. If
Okay.
it's wired properly, nothing's going to run. But you as the homeowner typically aren't going to know that that is what caused the system to overflow. Now, there are some companies that sell, and it's actually, if you're smart enough, you can do it yourself. You can get a little light and attach the light to this sensor, the float switch, and you can put the light above like right in the ceiling above the thermostat in the hallway, or you can even, if you're good enough, you can wire it right next to the thermostat. And it's just a little light that if that float switch ever goes off, that light pops on. So this way you'll know if it ever shuts off and you have a problem, you'll know exactly what the problem is, and you'll be able to call the technician, or you can go fix it yourself.
Sure.
Because fixing bad drain problems is not a difficult task to fix. It's just a matter of knowing what's causing it backing up, using the right chemicals. You don't want to just throw a bunch of bleach and stuff down there. That's not the right thing to do. There's special drain cleaning things that you want to use. You don't want to eat away at the plastic. You want to make sure you don't blow a bunch of nitrogen.
Can you do
through
it with a hose?
Yeah, you can. Sometimes it depends on how bad the clog is, because usually a hose isn't going to build up enough pressure.
Okay. How about
Now,
air hose?
You can use an air hose, but that's what I was just getting to. The technicians use those.
Okay.
They use nitrogen bottles.
I mean, not everybody has an air hose either.
Right, but they use nitrogen bottles, which are about 300 pounds PSI or greater. Or they actually make these little guns now that's just a small little, about the size of your hand, just a little gun you squeeze in it. It's just an instant amount of pressure. I mean, literally instant. It doesn't last long at all. And it'll blow 300 plus pounds.
So it's shooting out the other end outside.
Exactly, and
Okay.
you'll see it. Now
And it's nasty.
The problem there is was the drain line put together properly when it was originally installed? So if there were joints that are in the wall that were not glued properly, you just blew those apart.
Yeah.
You just
Okay.
blew those apart, and we've seen that happen. Guys go up there with their nitrogen bottles, they turn it up to 400 PSI, they blow that drain out. Oh, that drain's good now.
So the next time it backs up, you've got a wet wall.
Yeah. Well, no, not next time it backs up. As it starts draining.
Oh, it's just going to drain into your wall
The
then.
minute it starts draining, it drains
Oh.
right into your wall.
Okay.
So you're playing a gambit when you blow that out with nitrogen like that, and we've had that happen many a time. But when they go in a wall like that, a lot of times there's no way of figuring that out.
What I don't understand is, since we need this drain, why isn't it that when architects sit down and draw houses, they don't put the air conditioner in a place where it can just go right outside? A very, very short little pipe instead of going through the house.
Air conditioners are
drip.
afterthoughts most of the time, believe it or not.
Yeah.
They really are.
That's amazing, because you would think that it could just be situated somewhere on an outside wall
Yep.
and have this tiny little drain pipe.
Well, the issue is installability and serviceability too, because there's codes that say that technician has to have so many inches of clearance around it. It's like 30 to 36 inches of clearance in front of the unit. Well, based on the way the trusses and whatnot are built, there's only certain areas in the attic, if it's in the attic, or if it's in the garage, or if it's in a closet, there's only certain places that it can go. Now, if you have a big enough garage, a garage is a great place to put it. But for me personally, it would have to be designed right where I could run return duct up into the attic so that I could put returns in all of my rooms. If I ever built my own house, that's probably what I did. I don't think I'd ever build my own house, but
It's fun.
yeah, I've heard rumors. That's
I've
why I
done
don't think
that.
I ever want to do it. But I would put the air handler in the garage, and I would make sure that there was a very big platform where I could set the air handler and I could also set a return duct that would go up into the attic, and then I could branch out into the rooms because I'm very picky about having my returns in my rooms. I wouldn't just set an air handler in the garage to keep it out of the attic. If I didn't have the extra space to build because there was a water heater or whatnot there, then I would my next choice would be put it in the attic.
I would build. I would be like, okay, we're building a house. Let's give the air conditioner its own little place.
Yeah, and and what I recommend if anybody is building a house is to get your subcontractors involved before the construction process. Give the plans to them. Let them help you with changes in designs. Now, if you're building a custom home, there's not an issue with that. If you're going to one of these cookie cutter places, you're going to have a problem because they're going to be like, well, the house is $102,000. If you want to make any changes to it, we're going to charge you an arm and a leg.
Sure.
So building a custom home, get your electrician in there, get your plumber in there, get your air conditioning guy, because a lot of that stuff is designed by some yahoo sitting behind a desk. I've drawn it this way for 20 years. Well, yeah, that's because...
Or this house looks really pretty drawn this way. Now, where do we put the air conditioner?
And that's exactly like with the ductwork.
Yeah.
They built these 2-story houses, and forever we would go in as the air conditioner guy, and we'd look up and go, okay, well, where are you going to put the ductwork to get to the second story? Well, why can't you put it over here? Okay, I need a 20 by 20 inch duct. That's a 16 by 16 hole. I'm sorry. Maybe I skipped that day in math class. Okay?
Or they did.
I need 8 extra inches of space. Where do I get it?
Yeah.
So, it's forever that way. Or they build the second floor and you got to run ductwork in between the first and second floor within the floor frames. They never leave you a space.
Sure, and then you're going to come in and cut trusses?
You can't cut trusses.
No.
Yeah, so you got to
somebody I bet will cut trusses.
It is, and that's because they don't get the contractors involved. The engineers and architects, they just build these things, and they don't get these guys involved who are out in the field every day, and they know the best way to do things. And a lot of times, when you get the sub involved, he'll help save money by doing it a different way. But you got to find the right sub that you can trust.
Well, I would think even somebody looking at houses, if you're looking at model homes to build a new house or even existing homes, that might be something that should come to your mind. Where is the air conditioner? How will I be servicing? Because, if you're planning on keeping that house until you're into your 70s, you got to get on a ladder to change the filter. This is a problem.
Yeah, especially when you have, the double cathedral ceilings, and that's the only place that the air conditioning vent is in.
Right.
And can you imagine now there are some out there, but can you imagine?
Well, they shouldn't, is what I'm saying. That's dangerous.
Or they're forced to have to pay a contractor or somebody to come in to service it. Yeah, it's crazy. So this is the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about some plumbing tips. We're going to talk about a little bit more about why the air conditioning freezes up, because that's what Elite Electric and Air Conditioning talked about last week, filters and whatnot. So we'll be back in just a minute. 340-1590. I got a great trivia question today. I'll give you an opportunity to win one of the prizes from our sponsors. You're listening to Comfort Time Live. We'll be right back.
Elite Electric.
We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
Ooh, amazing.
Elite Electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie.
Elite Electric specializes in all of your electrical needs, from security lighting to surge protection and everything in between. How do you think they got their name? Elite Electric. Elite Electric has been family-owned and operated on the Treasure Coast since 1988, and they're recommended by Comfort Time Live. Visit online at EliteElectricAndAir.com and learn more about their services. Elite Electric. Service today. Proud sponsor of Comfort Time Live Friday mornings at 11 on WPSL 1590.
No matter what you want, just pick up your phone, say, come on, Elite.
And we'll get the job done.
We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
Benjamin Franklin Plumbing has extended its hours of operation. Their Jackpot 777 promotion allows you to receive service 7 days a week from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. at no additional cost.
Woo!
Also, as a bonus, if you mention this radio station when scheduling your appointment, you'll receive a 7% discount.
Fantastic.
Call 866-867-5309 to schedule your appointment today.
867-5309.
Promotion promotional offer is subject to availability and cannot be combined with other discounts or coupons. Excludes holidays.
Known for helping you keep that spark, now they'll help you keep cool. Elite Electric and Air, the official air conditioning sponsor of Comfort Time Live, has provided the best in heating and cooling customer service since 1988. If your electric bill is costing you more than 12 cents per square foot under air, you may be overpaying the utility company. Elite Electric and Air can help put that cash back in your pocket. Call Elite Electric and Air with 24-hour service. Dial 340-3797. That's 340-3797.
All right, welcome back to Comfort Time Live. We're talking about some of the issues that our sponsors were bringing up to us last week about air conditioners freezing and things of that nature. But first, what we're doing, we're going to go to our trivia question, give folks plenty of time to call in, 340-1590. And the prize today is from Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, which I'm really glad that they still got that license for that song by it's a Tommy Two-Tone or something like that.
That's very clever.
Yeah. That's people know it.
Yeah.
And you know what? And the people that know it are people that most likely are going to own homes.
What's interesting, though, is I heard, and I saw this online on a news article, that it is the most used phone number when someone asks you, what's your phone number? When you try to make a purchase somewhere, or you fill out a discount card for one of these pharmacies.
Oh, okay.
What's your phone number? And that's the most used phone number.
867-5309.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't know what you call my regular phone number. So 866-867-5309 is the number to give them a call locally. That's their local phone number here, and they'll direct you towards it. But you're going to win a free plumbing inspection of your home. And we're going to talk about some of the reasons why you should really have this plumbing inspection done on your home, especially with the water heater and cleaning it. And I'll tell you, just the water heater alone, the maintenance on the water heater alone would pay, if you were going to pay for this maintenance, would pay for the cost of the maintenance, by keeping it clean and free of all the contaminants and whatnot in it, and allowing the water heater to heat the water properly without having all that gunk in there stopping it from keeping its temperature. So 340-1590, the number to call here at the studio. And here's the question. This should be a good question for our community. In animal terms, what is a maverick? Now, I have three choices, but I'm going to wait to give the three choices. I'm just going to see if somebody can get I think, especially in this community, I think somebody should be able to get this one pretty good. In animal terms, what is a maverick? I had no clue. I thought it was like Top Gun, next to Goose.
Oh, somebody's name?
It's a Navy airline pilot. So in animal terms, what is a maverick? 340-1590. The first person to get the correct answer will win a free plumbing inspection.
Do you remember the car, the Maverick? No. See, I'm older than you are.
No, if I saw it, I remember the name. Was that when they had the Roadrunner and the Maverick? Was that the same years?
They had Maverick. They had Vega.
Yeah, I remember Vega.
It was back then.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was born.
Vega was the Chevy. I think the
69.
Maverick was the Ford.
I was born in '69. I'm not that much.
A little bit. We won't go there.
We'll leave that alone.
Yeah, we won't.
That's
go
a conversation for another time. But
that's not a conversation at all.
Now, a lot of folks are guessing on what they think is happening with the economy. Is the economy still bad? Is the economy getting better?
Well, duh.
Well, I'm sorry, but looking at it from the construction industry, I think the construction industry is a good sign. What happens there as to where the economy is headed. And I tell you that the construction industry is on a huge incline.
What are we building? Houses?
Everything.
Businesses? A little bit everything?
Businesses, houses, government construction's always going on because they have everybody's money. So let's throw that out.
They're not having a hard time.
Yeah, they're never having a hard time. I don't see pay cuts hitting the politicians when the economy gets low. They're just figuring out new and ingenious ways.
That project is just on hold. It'll get built. It'll just take a while.
Yeah, just a little bit longer because we don't want to stop the pay for the politicians. And if there's politicians listening, I'm sorry. It's just, hey, it's radio.
The way it is.
That's the way life is.
Sorry.
But there are tons of projects. I mean, a lot of the, I see a lot of Walmarts and the restaurant chains being built, and that's got to say something. I mean, all up and down the eastern seaboard, from what I see from some of the resources I have, is huge. So that has to be saying something about the economy. And, I don't care which way you're voting, it doesn't matter, but you got to look at it. Is the economy on the rise? Yeah.
Or is competition a good thing? Maybe they're looking at it like, okay, now's the time. Things are a little slow. Build that new restaurant. Close the one that's fallen apart because we need to compete
Could be.
for those dollars.
Could be that you're closing.
Yeah, so it is a good thing, though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, from a financial standpoint, the businesses have to look at it and say, okay, well, we have to build this. We have to recuperate our costs somehow. Is there enough? And and some places are smart enough to figure it out, but like Kohl's over here, St. Lucie in Traditions off Gatlin.
You mean the big building that's
the
like
big building that
built but
started
not
and never
open?
happened?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a Kohl's. Now, we have no idea why it stopped, but
they built it to I think they were obligated to build it,
okay.
but they're not obligated to open.
Okay, I'd really love to hear the story behind that.
It's the economy.
I'd really love
Why
to hear
they're
it.
not going to staff the store.
But why would they have to build it?
I don't
That-
know.
I'd like to- I'd
I
like
don't
to hear
know.
that.
Yeah, no, that's a.
That would be so let's spend
You drive
a
around and
couple-
go, what's that going to
let's
be?
spend a couple $1 million to build something that we're not going to open. Well, maybe it was the CEO
Permitting, they didn't want to lose the progress that they had made up to
Oh,
that
I
point.
see. Or it could have been the CEO that had a bonus that year that said, listen, if you could build 20 new stores, we'll give you a $4 million bonus.
It was probably expensive permitting, I bet.
So he said, well, they didn't say I had to open it. They just said I had to build it.
Yeah, that's right.
But from what I see on the construction industry side, the economy is getting better. Obviously, we see it because there's a lot of things that aren't as bad as they were. The foreclosures and the short sales are still out there, but they're not as bad as they were. They're getting cleaned up quite a bit. Jobs are on the uprise. I mean, unfortunately, Digital Domain, which we heard about last week, Digital Domain, if anybody's listening from there, that was kind of a kick in the gut here in St. Lucie. But hopefully a lot of those folks will find places. But, it's a bump in the road. Hopefully we'll go down the road. But, okay, so 340-1590, if you can answer the trivia question. In animal terms, what is a maverick? In animal terms, what is a maverick? And looks like we may.
Now, this is a listener with a question who's driving, so it's a question in written form.
Oh, okay. So they can keep driving without calling.
Yes,
Oh,
you
okay.
can
I'm
keep
good.
driving.
No problem. Let's see what we have here. A listener called in. Can we read the whole thing?
Yeah, go
ahead. The listener called. Okay, thermostat usually have a green light on. Now she has a red light on, but the air conditioning is still running. Is there a problem? Okay, so she has a green light on and a red light on. Well, depending on the thermostat, if the red light is on, it may be. Now, hey, if our air conditioning guru, John from Elite Electric and Air, is listening, John, give us a call if you can help us. But I want to say that the red light may be the emergency heat light if she has a heat pump. Okay? Now, is it the same light that was green turning red? That may be the heat turning on. So the red for heat, the green for the air conditioning. That could be so what could be happening is possibly the heat and the air conditioning are running at the same time. Because usually when you flip the switch, now what I would want to know is how many lights does she have on there? Usually anything to do with the heat is a red light. Okay. So my first thing would be that possibly.
So it's not like stop and go.
No, it's not like stop and go. So my question would be is that if she had what we call a heat pump system, then maybe the unit has gone into the heating mode or the emergency heat is popped on. That would be my first guess.
Is that like a relay of some sort turning it on?
Yeah,
or?
what happens sometimes is that the heat relay can get stuck or burn out or whatnot, and a lot of times the heater will come on at the same time as the air conditioning.
And we don't want that.
We don't want that
No.
because her electric bill will actually skyrocket through the roof. But typically but typically with the emergency heat, it's actually a different light over to the right-hand side. So once again, if it's the same light that used to be green is now red, I would probably say that there may be an issue with the heat trying to come on at the same time. So, and if you want, you can give Elite Electric and Air a call at 340-3797. Let me verify that. I got to double check my number here. But actually, you can hear it when we play the commercial.
Okay. Or she can call us back later, and we'll definitely hook her up.
Yeah,
with
you can call us back later. We'll get you the phone number. But give them a call, and if you tell them you heard about them on Comfort Time Live, they'll give you a nice big old discount for doing that. So hopefully that answered that call. And now we have Colleen on line 1. And Colleen, you here to answer our trivia question?
Yeah, it's Cullen.
Cullen. I'm sorry, Cullen.
Oh, that's all right. I was just guessing a Maverick is a wild horse.
Close.
Okay.
Close. Yeah, close. Sorry,
I appreciate
sorry, Colin.
it.
Thanks for calling, buddy. He was close. He was close. So the question is, in animal terms, what is a maverick? Now, because he gave a close answer, I can't give the A, B, and C
No, you
answer.
can't.
So, in animal terms, what is a maverick? He was partially there. But to Colleen's question, that's Colin. To get these, and to our listener with the thermostat, something's not right. I would definitely get it checked out because it may be running the heat and the air conditioning at the same time, especially if the air conditioner is running when that light turns there. But it's not going to blow up.
I would think that it would be running more because it wouldn't be cooling to the temperature that the house would be set at.
Because what'll happen is it'll run longer because the heat's heating the cold air that's coming out. So the electric bill is just going to skyrocket.
Yeah, and you're not. If you got it set at 76, it's going to take you a whole lot longer to get there.
And also, it could be something, like we always say, keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method. It could be something just as simple as the thermostat going bad. Everything may be functioning just perfectly.
But the light's coming on.
But the light's coming on because the thermostat's going bad. So it could be something very simple like that. But a very easy and inexpensive check from the technician at Elite Electric and Air. They'll figure it out in a heartbeat and let them know you heard about us here, and you'll be in good shape. So going back to that, let's talk about the plumbing preventative maintenance that we have and why. Okay, we have Mark on line 1. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and you?
Can't complain, man. I'm on this side of the dirt today. How about you?
So am I.
So you got the answer to, in animal terms, what is a maverick?
It's an unbranded calf separated from its mother.
There you go. Awesome. Now, Mark, how did you know that?
Well, I have to tell you, I kind of looked it up.
No, you didn't.
I cheated.
You knew about that, Mark, because you're out there a wrangler, right? You're hardcore working.
Of course, that's what I do every day.
Hey, well, you know what? I would expect that. I mean, with all the internet stuff today, I would think
Google it.
I think that everybody would get these questions right. Just Google it. Awesome. Well, Mark, I got your phone number, and hopefully you can use this plumbing inspection.
I sure can. Can I ask a question while I got you on the phone?
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
My air handler on my air conditioner is in my garage.
Okay.
And it is encased in insulation.
Okay.
And I've had, and I know you were going to talk about air handlers freezing up and stuff.
Right.
And mine does that occasionally. Last time it did it was low on the refrigerant.
Okay.
But I'm just curious why, because not all air handlers are encased in insulation. So I'm curious why mine is and others aren't.
Well, yours is encased in insulation because the idiot contractor who was taking care of it originally, and God, I hope you're not the contractor, didn't understand what was causing the air handler to freeze up to begin with or to sweat. So what these contractors do is they put all this extra insulation on the outside because the air handler is sweating. Okay, and they think that by insulating it on the outside more, it's going to 100% solve the problem. Okay, well, typically, there's another underlying issue that's causing it to sweat, and most of the time it's because it's not getting enough return air. So I'm trying to suck 20 inches of air through a hole that somebody put in the bottom that maybe only be 12 or 14 inches big. So because I can't get enough air across the coil or the unit, the temperature inside the cabinet drops so low it causes it to sweat. So I'm gonna bet that there's probably some issue somewhere that the air handler's not getting enough airflow to it, and so instead of somebody trying to figure that out, they said, well, let's just put some tape or some insulation on the outside of this thing, and we'll encase it, and that'll stop it from sweating. Well, no, it didn't stop it from sweating. It just stops you from seeing it sweating now. Okay. The only air handlers I've ever had an issue with sweating right out of the factory are the units that come in two pieces, some of the newer ones. The top and the bottom units are separate. They call them modular. And what happens is sometimes where those joints are, the insulation isn't completely sealed. So you get a little sweating around that. But now, as far as the, what was the second question? The insulation on the outside. Oh, the unit freezing. Yeah, it's probably a leak someplace. Or it could be part of what we're saying, that we're starving for air. But if it's got a leak in it, you got to figure out what the leak is, because it's just going to keep losing refrigerant. And what happens is it gets to the point where the coil starts freezing up inside, because there's not, believe it or not, there's not enough refrigerant in the system for it to change state, is what happens. So what I would do is, I tell you, I don't know who you're using, but Elite Electric and Air would definitely be happy to come out there, take a look at it. And what you would do is, it's on a wooden platform in the garage, right?
Yes.
Where's your filter? In the sidewall?
Yes.
Okay.
In the house, yes.
Okay. Go inside, open up that grill, look up underneath where the air handler is. Now, one, is that box wide open, or is it just a round duct that's cut in and goes up into the bottom of the air handler? Okay. Those are the things you're going to want to look for, because years ago there was a code. There was a code that the line sets and the drain lines and stuff could not be in the airstream. So when they built them in the garage on a box like that, what they would do is they would insulate so that those lines wouldn't be in the airstream, and they would just put a piece of flexible duct from where the filter was to the bottom of the unit. Well, this little duct was only 12 inches round, and you would have these units that required like a 20-inch duct, so they would be undersized. So that's kind of a quick thing to look. Open up that grill, let me know what's inside there. If it's wide open, you want to look at the hole that the air handler sits on top of the wooden platform. And is that hole that the air handler sits on, is it as big as the bottom of the unit? Okay. So that's the other thing. Then the other thing to look at is how many holes and gaps. You know, at nighttime, if I look inside that grill and somebody goes out in the garage with a flashlight, how many areas can I see the light on that flashlight? Because if I'm sucking 120 or 130 degree garage humid air in, I'm going to have sweating issues too.
Okay.
So there's like all kinds of multiple things, but I tell you, if you get John from Elite Electric out there, and in fact, you know what, Mark, because you won, I'm going to go ahead and do this for you. I'm not only going to give you the free plumbing, but I'm going to go ahead and turn your name over to John at Elite Electric and Air, and I'm going to tell them to come out at no charge and do an inspection on that for you.
Okay, great.
Is that fair? Now, I know you probably don't want to take something for free. I understand that, Mark. You're
It's like the Daily Double.
Yeah, you're a good American. You don't like anything for free. Some of us like to work for our stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, Mark, I'm going to go ahead and turn your name over to both of them, and I'm going to have them give you a call. But they'll be able to find that for you and then let you know. And some of it you might be able to fix yourself. Some of it may involve them having to do it for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hey, Mark, thanks for listening to the show, buddy.
All right, have a good day.
You too, man. Bye-bye. All right, great.
Well, I would think insulating would make it the air colder that came into my house.
Well, what they're doing is he's talking about they take the insulation and actually put it over the outside of the air handler, because what they do is they see it sweating. Well, typically we think if something's sweating, we just need to insulate it more. Well, we don't get down to the root of the problem.
Sure.
What's air handlers?
Well, you're just putting something between that warm air in the garage and the cold air in the air conditioner.
You're covering it up because it's the cold air inside that's hitting the warm air outside, and it's reaching its dew point. Well, why is the air inside so cold? Okay, they're designed really not to sweat that much. Now, some of them are going to sweat a little bit, but if they're sweating that bad where somebody has to wrap insulation around it, there's a problem. Okay, it's like, gosh, why does this cut keep bleeding? You know, well, because it's an open wound, you know, and you got to fix it. If you just keep it there, but that's what happened, and a lot of times that's what I've always seen happen is they put these units. I mean, I've had them where the installers put a brand new unit on this wood, and they never cut the hole any bigger than the old unit that was there. So there's only half of the opening on the new air handler. And then, I mean, I had this when I worked at ARS. That by mistake, one of the guys did that. One guy thought the other guy did it, and they never checked. And we had nothing but a problem the next day. And finally, somebody poked their head up in there and realized, oh my God, we never cut the hole big enough. And it was sweating, it was starving, it was nothing but problems. The humidity in the house was through the roof. So it was nothing but problems. But yeah, there's a number of things, but I guarantee you it's one of those.
So how big? If you do look inside there, how big should that hole be?
Well,
if
as far as I'm concerned,
if it's a duct, if it's not,
if it's
just
ducted, you need to get rid of it. You need to rip it all out if it's ducted, okay? Because that's not a coat anymore.
Okay.
So what if
it's in the ceiling?
Well,
When
if it's
it
in the
comes out,
ceiling, it has to be ducted.
yeah.
But when it went up into the attic, is your air handler in the attic?
Yeah.
Okay. So when it's in the attic, at the back of the air handler should be a big box. And in that box, that duct, that round flexible duct should be attached to it. But,
Okay.
if it's a 5-ton unit, it should be a minimum of a 20-inch duct. If it's a 4-ton unit, a minimum of a 20 to 18-inch duct. If it's a 3-ton unit, so we talked about that on the show one time, the sizes of ducts that you should have. You can really never have too much return. So the more the better, because the more that unit can breathe, the more air is being pulled out of your house, the more air that's being circulated through the air conditioner, the more air that's being dehumidified, temperatures being changed, the more efficient your unit's going to be, the better it can cool. So if it's in a garage like that on a platform and you open up that return grill and you look inside, that should be wide open. Okay? And what it should be is it should be insulated with a fiberglass or some type of insulation value, ductboard or whatnot, so that the temperature in the garage is not penetrating just a plain piece of drywall, because that's going to change the temperature of the air. So what happens is that 75-degree air from your house goes into that box that's actually in the garage. We want to keep the temperature of that air as close to 75 degrees as possible. But if that box is wide open, that box has basically become a giant return. So the top of that box is a wooden platform, piece of plywood, 3/4 plywood, or whatever.
Structure that it would sit on.
And then the air handler sits on top of that, and the hole, let's say the outside dimension of the air handler was 20 inches by 20 inches. Usually there's about a 1/2 inch to a 1-inch lip on the bottom of the unit, and then inside that is the hole opening to go into the unit. So if you were to cut a hole on this 20 by 20 unit, 19 by 19, that air handler would fit perfectly right on top of that. You would have a perfect opening, so the whole entire bottom of the unit is open.
Right.
So it can suck as much as it needs to in. That will dramatically reduce the sweating of the air handler. Also making sure, like I said, make sure all the lights are off, have somebody outside with a flashlight, and you have them shine around there. Do you see any light coming in? If you do, it needs to be insulated in those areas and sealed. Not just sealed, it needs to be insulated from the hot, humid air that's getting into it. And it could be all of those things. And each one of those things is just going to continue to cause issues down the road. So, okay, we have Tony on line 1. Tony's got a question. Hey, Tony.
There he is.
I have a condo, and it has a, I guess what you call a 2-stage system outside, an older 2-stage system.
Yeah, okay. All right, good. Very, very efficient.
Okay, and when you go inside the condo, the leather furniture all had mold all over. So I called the guy up, and he came over, and he said he couldn't find anything wrong. So I cleaned all the furniture. The second time, it happened again. So he came back, and he said he found 2 capacitors bad in the second stage. They changed that, and then it happened a third time. Well, the switch on the thermostat was on the on instead of auto. So we turned it back to auto, and now it doesn't mildew anymore. but he's telling me that the there's two things in the A-frame.
Okay.
Inside the air handler near the A-frame.
Right. The coil, the A coil.
Yeah, they're not capacitors, but they were valves or something. There were two valves in there.
Yeah, expansion valves.
Expansion valves, yeah.
Okay.
He says they're bad. But it doesn't mold anymore now that we switched the air off to auto.
Right. Well, depending on what brand, and you don't need them. I mean, if you want to mention the brand, you can. That'll kind of help me out. Is it Train Carrier Lennox?
I don't know what kind of brand.
Okay. Well, because the brand of air conditioner sometimes will make a difference if you have a two-stage unit outside, I would hope that you have what's called a variable speed air handler inside. Okay? And for some manufacturers, when you put the thermostat switch in the on position, when the air conditioning outside shuts off, the fan goes into low speed. Okay? Which can be okay to help circulate air through the house if there's not leaks in the ductwork. Okay? If there's leaks in the ductwork and you have that fan running constantly, all you're basically doing is sucking hot, humid attic air and wherever it is, and you're blowing it back into the house, creating a humidity issue.
Okay.
Now, if it's not a variable speed air handler, and you turn it to the on position, what happens is that fan will run full blast all the time. Now, this usually doesn't cause that dramatic of an issue, but what will happen is when the air conditioner shuts off, because the fan is still running on full speed, it actually throws moisture back into the home. Now, that only lasts for a short period of time because the water that's dripping off the coil is only going to last like that for a short period of time, and then it's eventually going to drain out. So my guess is you may have some leaks in your ductwork. You flipping from auto to on doesn't tell me that the capacitor was the problem unless it was just a combined problem where the air conditioner wasn't running at all, and maybe the system, whether it needed it or not, was running in high speed only because low stage wasn't working.
Well, I mean, the long and the short of it is that A-frame thing is out in the hallway. You know, it's like an open air hallway. It's outside.
Okay.
And he's telling me that the cracks around the door and everything else is sucking in too much moisture from the outside.
Okay. So you have the area in a hallway, and the hallway's outside. Okay, yeah. I think I know what type of condo that you have. I know those. Yeah, so that you open up the door. You're outside your home. You open up the door, and the air handler's in that closet.
Yes.
Okay, that's almost like having leaks in your ductwork. That's exactly what that is. So what happens is when you turn that thermostat to the on position, where you're running, and you said when you turned it to auto, it stopped, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what happens is you're running that fan all the time. So what it's doing is the return is sucking that air. So if you have holes in that door where air is being sucked from the outside and you're running that all the time, it's like having leaks in your ductwork. You're constantly sucking 80, 90% humidity outside air into the house, which is causing that humidity issue, which in turn causes the mold.
Okay.
Yep. So what I would do is, one, put it back to the auto, which the only thing auto is doing is it's not letting it run long enough to exacerbate the problem, but the problem's still there.
Yes.
Okay. You need to have somebody seal those, go in there with foam fill, caulk, whatever it is, insulation, whatever, and just anything you can find from the doorway to any place else in that closet has got to be sealed perfectly.
Okay.
And I mean, that's easy enough for you to do. I mean, you can do, I would do, door jamb insulation. I would do some foam fill, some caulk, but that whole room out there needs to be perfectly sealed. So the only air is coming from the grill that's inside the house.
Okay.
And that's, and that's 100% of what you want. So so that solves that one for you, Tony.
Okay. I appreciate your help.
Hey, no problem. Give me your address. I'll send you the bill, Tony.
Okay. Thank you. already got 3 bills up on them already. You know?
And it still isn't right.
And it's still, well, yeah, but you know what? This is one you could probably fix on your own without having to worry about it.
All right, thank you.
Hey, no problem, Tony. All right, man. That is the kind of questions we like to answer, helping Mark and Tony out there. That's what we are here for, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I could answer all of your home questions that well, but because my background is air conditioning. Now, we only got 5 minutes left. Even though it's a couple minutes, I got to take another quick break for our sponsors because they are what help keep Comfort Time Live running. You're listening to Comfort Time Live. We'll be right back.
Elite Electric.
We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
Ooh, amazing.
Elite Electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie.
Elite Electric specializes in all of your electrical needs, from security lighting to surge protection and everything in between. How do you think they got their name? Elite Electric. Elite Electric has been family-owned and operated on the Treasure Coast since 1988, and they're recommended by Comfort Time Live. Visit online at eliteelectricandair.com and learn more about their services. Elite Electric. Service today. Proud sponsor of Comfort Time Live Friday mornings at 11 on WPSL 1590.
No matter what you want, just pick up your phone, say, come on, Elite.
And we'll get the job done.
We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
Benjamin Franklin Plumbing has extended its hours of operation. Their Jackpot 777 promotion allows you to receive service 7 days a week from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. at no additional cost. Also, as a bonus, if you mention this radio station when scheduling your appointment, you'll receive a 7% discount.
Fantastic.
Call 866-867-5309 to schedule your appointment today. Promotional offer is subject to availability and cannot be combined with other discounts or coupons. Excludes holidays.
Known for helping you keep that spark, now they'll help you keep cool. Elite Electric and Air, the official air conditioning sponsor of Comfort Time Live, has provided the best in heating and cooling customer service since 1988. If your electric bill is costing you more than 12 cents per square foot under air, you may be overpaying the utility company. Elite Electric and Air can help put that cash back in your pocket. Call Elite Electric and Air with 24-hour service. Dial 340-3797. That's 340-3797.
Policy-wise.
All right, you're back listening to Comfort Time Live, and we had to do that. We only got a couple minutes left, so let's go. Let's go down these plumbing maintenance save money tips real quick. Pay attention to your drains. Most plumbing repair calls are for clogged drains. Now, this is sponsored by Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, 866-8675-309. Grease builds up over time and causes clogs. Now, there are preventative measures you can take to counteract grease buildup. Now, there are several products available on the market that have been designed to reduce grease buildup. Experiment with these and find ones that work well for you. Stay away from the products that are acid-based and find a product that is biodegradable and environmentally safe. Now, regular use according to the directions can keep you one step ahead of a clogged drain indefinitely. Now, pouring boiling sudsy water down the drain periodically will reduce grease buildup. And in most cases, hair can be trapped in some sort of screen or drain cover. Now, talk to your local plumber. Talk to Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, 866-867-5309 next time, and ask about ways to prevent the hair from getting in the drain. Now, it's much easier to gather hair off the screen periodically than it is to deal with a clogged pipe.
Better yet, pull the drain, put a little hand towel over the sink, do your hair.
There you go.
And then go shake that outside.
There you go. I like that.
See?
And a routine preventive maintenance plumbing will pay off in the long run. So make sure you give them a call. I know Mark's going to know about it when he has them come out and do a good inspection maintenance for him. But, it was great having you, ladies and gentlemen. Every Friday at 11:05 right here on WPSL 1590, you can listen to Comfort Time Live. Ask great questions like Tony and Mark. I'm Tom Platani, and I'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Have a good weekend.